okay? Anyway, y'all, so I've been wanting to record this video for a minute, but I don't know. I just have been really wanting to keep my mouth shut, to be honest. This year has been very weird. Not necessarily in a bad way, but not necessarily in a good way. It's just, this year has been like the most like normal life I've ever had. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the best way I can describe it. Like there's been deaths, there's been, you know what I mean? So it's like, this year has just been very normal, ups and downs. And I don't know, I don't really have much to say. Like I don't really have much to say, but I started going to therapy, and I feel like things, whenever I start something, I like to finish it. And so I started a lot of my videos talking about just like traumas and healing and like my family and all of that. So I guess I just kind of wanted to wrap all of those things up, so it just keeps weighing on me to record this video, because like I said, I like to finish what I start. So I started going to therapy this year. Yeah, I started going to therapy this year. I got extremely stressed with the family dynamics. I remember I was getting very, very angry a lot. And I was like, to the point that I was like anger, yelling and raging at everybody. Just purely frustrated. And I'm not that type of person. Normally things happen, I process them and I keep it moving. And then like whatever emotions I have, I'm a journaler, but I wasn't journaling anymore. I wasn't journaling anymore. I wasn't praying as much. Like I was praying, but not as much. Reading my Bible every now and then. Like I don't know. I just started to get so stressed and overwhelmed with the family dynamic that I just stopped doing things that normally keep me at bay. But I think that was it too. I got tired of only being kept at bay with the family dynamics. And my sister and I watched this podcast where this guy was saying that the interviewer asked the person if their family supported them, even if they made decisions that they didn't agree with. And the person said yes. They went in to go and talk about how supportive their family is of them. And it triggered me very, very badly, because it kind of like, I was already realizing how toxic my family actually is. And it triggered me very bad. Me and my sister had a 2-hour conversation, mostly me talking, and about how toxic the family dynamic is. I started going to therapy. I booked a therapy session within the next 2 weeks. I started going to therapy. And I'm the type of person in therapy, I talk about what happened. I leave how I felt about it out of it. And I just talk about what happened. And then, because the therapist is going to ask you anyway, and how did that make you feel? You know what I mean? Like, it's so cliche, but I actually like when they do it. But they're going to ask you how it made you feel. They're going to ask you, what were you thinking? They're going to ask you, what was your response? Like, they're going to ask you those things, because sometimes saying it out loud just kind of gives you that clarity that you need. And so, in going to therapy, it felt really good just to have someone acknowledge, like, girl, you are not tripping. What the is going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that felt really good for me, because it was just kind of like this constant gaslighting of like, I know I'm experiencing these things, but the way everybody is acting, like, am I overreacting? Am I misunderstanding what's happening? Did I misinterpret that? Did I make this up in my mind? Like, I know I didn't make it up in my mind, but like, did I make up the energy of it in my mind, right? So it's kind of like, you can give somebody a compliment, but if they don't like you, they'll take it as if you're trying to be shady, right? But you just gave them a compliment. So I'm like, did I become this person where they're not attacking me, but I'm constantly feeling attacked? Like, what's happening here? Why am I the only one? And when I say I'm the only one, I've come to learn I wasn't the only one. I was just the only one vocal about it. But why am I the only one that is constantly being made to feel this way? Like, why is it, if I say I want family healing, the first thing people start with is deflection? Like, let's do this. Let's all lay our cards out on the table. And then, we'll go back and say, well, this actually belongs to you, and this actually belongs to me, and da-da-da. You know what I mean? And so it was very frustrating, though. And it felt really good to have that validated. And it felt really good to just have someone say, like, because I said it, I was like, it's like, I told myself, if my family is this toxic, what role am I playing in it? And I wanted to go to therapy. That was my main goal, to go to therapy to figure out what role I'm playing in the toxicity of my family and how I can stop. Basically, am I the problem? And I get to therapy and everything that I'm saying it as it happened. And it's like, and I can see my therapist's face, and one of the sessions, she tells me, like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, I got angry when you were telling me what happened, because the circumstances. And it was like, I got angry when you were telling me what happened, because you deserve people that care about you as well. And as giving as you are, you deserve people that are not going to take advantage of that. And it felt really, really good. It did. But she didn't say these words directly, but she also, agreed when I said it. I enable my family's bad behavior. I enable the things that they do because there's no consequences for their bad behavior. When they take advantage of me, I still keep giving. I don't stop. I don't set a boundary. I don't cut it off. I just be like, I don't like the fact that you took advantage of me, or that you lied to get something from me. You don't have to do that. Like, I would just give to you. You don't have to lie to me. And they're like, well, I just wasn't sure. And it's almost like a gaslighting thing of like, well, I just wasn't sure because you know how you are. If you really felt like I was like that, you wouldn't have had the audacity to try and play me. If you really felt like I was the aggressor in this situation, you would have never had the audacity to try and play me. That's not how you felt. You just schemed to get what you wanted when you didn't have to do that with me. That's as simple as it is. And that's a gaslighting thing that I've had to deal with my entire life, to be honest, because I'm always very giving, but I have better boundaries with strangers. This is my family. I love my family, but I also I have been learning how to set proper boundaries, even if that means not engaging in certain things that they bring to me, right? So this year, my mental health, I want to say it's probably the healthiest ever been, because I think my soul just would not allow me to take on anymore. My soul was just like, girl, okay, enough is enough. I try to work on my cussing, but I didn't really feel bad. You know what I mean? I was cussing everybody out left and right and didn't care. And because it was like a lot of pent up anger of just like, I don't know why you think it's okay to treat me this way, but it's not. So I've learned ways to basically set boundaries, to stop enabling. And I've learned, I have homework that I've added to my daily practice. One of those things, I talked about how I was very forgiving and how I really can forget things that people do, but I have a short-term memory issue, that's all. So I really just forget them. And my therapist was like, you should just write it down. Because if you write it down, when you go back through your journal and you're looking at all the things that you've done and how you've grown, you're going to see like, oh, this person did do this to me. This person did do that to me. And at first I felt weird about it because I was like, well, I don't want to be keeping tabs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be like, well, you hurt me. You did this. And when you said that, and I didn't want to do that. But writing it down and then looking at it was like, it was like another confirmation of like, this really did happen. You know what I mean? Like reading it, I was like, oh, but they did do this. Like this person did do this to me. This person really said that to me. This person really thought this was funny when this was done to me. You get what I'm saying? And so it was like, it basically made it real. It made it real, and it made it something that I couldn't deny or justify or kind of try to like rework or reframe. You know what I mean? It was like, no matter what your state of mind was, this is what you did. This is what you said. This is how you reacted. And after that, the next 2 sessions, I was like, I didn't cuss her out. I watched my words, but I definitely fussed her out. I fussed her out. I blew up. And you know, she thought it was funny because she didn't she tried to lightly tell me that once I read it and I really sat with it, I was gonna be angry. Because I thought when I went to therapy for family stress, I was like, I'm deeply hurt by this. And my therapist was like, yeah, you keep writing your list, you know, of just things that we've talked about, things we haven't talked about, and you just keep reading over it and you sit with it. It's just a lot of emotions are going to come up. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I do my homework and now I'm angry. And like I said, that was really the reason it started my therapy, because my soul was tired of it. My soul was very, very angry. This is going to sound so weird, but it was like my soul used my ego to protect myself, where it was like, okay, enough's enough. I deserve better than this. I'm cussing y'all out. Because I don't think my soul would really cuss. You know what I mean? But my ego would. So it was like, yeah, like I was just very angry. And it's my family, right? So the way that I would probably have handled that situation with strangers, I'm going to handle it differently. I'm going to handle it a lot more carefully, but I'm still going to be open and honest about it. And so we laughed about the anger part, because once I realized that, no, I'm not hurt. I'm angry because this behavior is disrespectful to me and I don't deserve that. We had a good laugh because she was just like, yeah, I knew. I said, yeah, she thinks that she's sad, but just wait till she gets there. I was angry, bro. And it was like, it felt good to be able to laugh about anger though, because it's its own emotion. A lot of times people want to put anger to pain. You can sometimes just simply be angry because what was done was not okay and it was simply disrespectful. You don't have to be angry because your feelings was hurt. You can be mad simply because they disrespected you, and that's okay. And yeah, so I have some goals. So I make a motto every year and I try to follow that. I didn't do that this year, which is very indicative of the year that I've had. So it was kind of like everything was up in the air. Like, oh, okay, this is falling down, this is falling down. All right, God, well, what else you got? Like that. It was just kind of like that for me. But going into this next year, I have to be a lot more intentional. And so my motto going into this next year is, that's no longer my concern. You know what I mean? I have come to the realization that people do not always operate out of capacity, but out of will. Someone can have the capacity to do better and they are choosing not to. It is their will to not do the best that they can. That's not my concern. That's not my problem. And coming to that understanding and having to accept that about some of my family members has been disappointing, to say the least, but that's not my concern. That you not doing what you should be doing, treating people the way you should be treating them, you not putting your best foot forward, is not going to impact me in any way. It's going to destroy your life, not mine. So if that's what you want to do, you do it. I'm not going to support you in it. I ain't never going to support no mischievousness. I ain't doing that. But I can love you from a distance. I can always have your back when you do the right things. I can always cheer you on to do the right things, but I'm no longer going to put myself in proximity of chaos just because you're my family. I'm not going to do that anymore. And I can't continue to enable bad behavior because then I'm part of the problem. So I'm no longer concerned. That is a boundary that I'm setting, that it's not my job to care about the poor decision making of others. And I still have some ways to go when it comes to those gaps, but some days I'm like, I wish I was closer. And then some days I'm like, okay, well, you got to learn, right? One of the things I told myself last week was that, baby girl, you are learning how to communicate through this anger. So yes, when you first started out recognizing that you were angry, and then now you're trying to communicate and, get to whatever place mentally you need to be at healthily, you probably gonna be yelling and cussing a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you're angry. So that emotion is probably going to come out at times when you speak, but it's definitely something that I am trying to work on and working on, because it's like, at the end of the day, I love my family and I want us to do well and succeed in everything that we do. And that's for all of my family members. I want all of us to succeed and do well in everything that we do. And I have bigger and better things to move on to. I just don't have it in me anymore to continue fighting for people who don't want to be fought for. And that's fine. Again, that's their prerogative. But I can't continue to enable it. I can't continue to take a part in it. And I had to redirect my anger away from my family to myself for playing into it for so long. You know what I mean? And so that's been helping me with the communication a little bit. When the gaslighting comes out, normally gaslighting does not work on me. But this, with my family here lately, I think it's been pissing me off more than working. And then boom, boom, boom. But yeah, now we're kind of just like, okay, I have to learn how to communicate through this anger. I have to learn how to communicate through this disappointment, because I'm really so over it that I'm losing care, right? When it comes to speaking to them. And I don't ever want to really be in that place with my family. So I'm working on that. That's one of the things where I'm like, I feel like that's my biggest gap between where I am now and where I want to be when it comes to managing stress when it's family related. So yeah, so what I have been doing now is making sure that I journal. The moment something happens where I'm like, I know exactly what you're trying to do, I journal it first. I don't necessarily have a conversation with it right then like I used to. Before, I used to be like, oh, we're going to address that now. We're going to go ahead and talk about what you're doing. Now you're being manipulative. We're not doing that. I used to do that at first, but now it's like I just journal it. I process what happened. I sit with it, and I determine if it's serious enough to me or for me to discuss it, or if it's something that I can just acknowledge, okay, this is what they did, so I'm going to give them their space on that. We're not going to revisit that and keep it moving. And I've been finding a lot of times I just be keeping it moving. Like, it's like, okay, I'm processing and accepting the behavior. So there's nothing really to discuss, because you're aware of what you're doing. I'm aware of what you're doing. I'm no longer in denial about what you're doing. So we don't really have to have a discussion about it, right? This is how I felt. I got it out. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna keep it moving. And so I like to measure my growth. Anytime I do stuff, I normally measure my growth through pictures. And so that sun is moving fast, bro. Like, I keep like, I'm trying to chase it, bro. But no, so, okay, but I look really good. Anyway, I don't know, earrings on, but anyway. So I normally measure my growth through pictures. Like, I'm one of those people where I take a lot of pictures of myself. That's something that started for me back in like 2014. I had went through something with somebody, and it definitely made me lose my confidence. And I started taking pictures a lot. because that's what God told me to do. When I prayed about it, God was like, take pictures, take a lot of pictures of yourself. And that's what I did. And then I would look at the pictures and I wouldn't like them. And God would be like, delete it and keep taking pictures until you like one. And I was just like, that's a very simple resolve. Like, yes, just keep taking them until you find one that you like. And so that's what I did. And then it put me in a position where I started to find that I never felt as though I really had a bad picture. And so it was like, oh, and it was a really big confidence boost for me. It was also a reminder of like, your mood shows up in your pictures. And so, but I always stuck to that of taking pictures. Even if I don't feel the best, I'm still going to take a picture, because there are times where you feel like life is really beating you down, and you take a picture, or you're doing something and you're in a photo, and then you go back and look at the photo and it's like, oh girl, you were stressed for nothing. You know what I mean? So I love using pictures to just kind of look back and be like, you remember when you was here and you felt like this and you felt like that? And so, yeah. Obviously, my reactions, how I communicate, that's going to be a very, very big one for me. So I'm going to continue journaling that. And then, y'all know I'm a biblical woman, biblical girly. So, of course, the scripture, they would know you by your fruits, is something that God imparted in me a long time ago. Basically letting me know, like, I don't have to worry about people's perception of me, because the reality is they would know me by my fruits. So the things that, and for me, actually, I used to take that, baby, we're not chasing the sun no more, okay? Okay, we're just gonna chase it a little bit over here. But so for me, I used to feel like, oh, like materialistically, financially, they would know you by your fruits. And that is true for most worldly people. But the reality is, what I have noticed is that people know me by my fruit more so in a spiritual sense, and more so with my character and my energy and my aura. When I was younger, people always tell me like I had very big aura, and I never really, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really understand it. I used to be like, my aura can't be that big if all these people hate me so much. Like, it can't be that big. You know, there's no power to it. Like, they hate me. But now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, I get it. I didn't get it then. I really didn't. But I get it now. And I mean, it just kind of is what it is, you know, now. I never really had a care. Which probably made it worse. Definitely made it worse. But I mean, I still don't have a care now, but I'm a little bit more careful and cautious with myself and with certain things. Going through certain things with your family, you definitely it's a different type of trauma. It's a different type of trauma when you go through things with your family. It's a different type of disappointment, right? And so I just have to remind myself that no matter what happens when it comes to the family dynamic, they will know me by my fruit. People will know me by my fruit. And that's it. That's all. I am going to start back doing more videos, but they're going to be a lot different from what they were before. They won't be as spiritual. I'm a little bit more in with my faith right now, so I don't know if I'll be sharing like any biblical stuff. Probably, y'all know I love God, so I'll probably, you know, sprinkle a little razzle dazzle of Jesus every now and then, but it won't be spirituality based like my videos were before, or like biblically based like my videos were before. It'll just kind of be me. I don't really do anything. I don't go anywhere, you know. Don't know how I'm gonna get married, but it'll happen, I guess. From my bedroom. But no, so yeah, so I am gonna start doing vlogs, home vlogs. I want to start doing cleaning videos for y'all, because that's something that brings me a lot of comfort. I want to start doing cooking videos for y'all. The problem is, you'll probably get the cooking videos first before the cleaning videos. The problem is I forget to record when I'm cooking. So like last night I made a steak. It was really good. I made my own little sauce, steak sauce to go with it, like a little A1 sauce, but like mine. And it's not as thick though. It's not as thick. But yeah, I made my own little saucy sauce thing for my steak. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I forgot to season the steak. But the sauce was good with it and the steak was cooked to perfection, so I really didn't care. But I'm probably gonna sprinkle a little salt on it because I didn't eat all of it. I'm probably gonna sprinkle a little salt on it, you know, when I put it in the oven and make me a little steak and egg. You know what I'm saying? Because it was good though. It was still good for it to have not had seasoning. And I know some people eat their steak without seasoning because steaks do have their own flavor. The different cuts have their own flavor. So it's something I always wanted to do and try. That wasn't my intent last night though. So we're gonna sprinkle a little salt on it this morning. Put that thing in the oven. Just let it reheat, and then yeah. And so can't wait to eat that. I'm hungry. And yeah, I forget to record, but I'll try to remember recording when I cook. The cleaning stuff, I don't know, only because my sister has, she has severe eczema. So I don't know if I want to put like me cleaning the bathroom up there, just because I don't want her to ever feel uncomfortable. And then, but my bedroom, like, all I really do is wipe my floating mattress off and then vacuum. My room stays pretty neat. So there's that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched the whole video, I love you guys. I hope you guys have a blessed and glorious life. And I pray that every time one of your enemies try to come for you, that they fail and that they crumble. And same thing for me, okay? All right, bye.